As a society, can I tell you something? We have conversations with each other every day about a variety of topics and subject matters. We attempt to maximize our time and the effect we have on people to leave them with the most return on their value. From a business perspective, however, our website is our conversation with our customers. In today's digital age, it's often the first impression that people get of your business and the value it brings to their everyday life. It's like the old adage you only get one chance to make a positive first impression. So let me ask you a question. As a business owner, do you know how to start an e-commerce conversation to maximize your earning potential and the value you bring to your customers? Well, according to Forbes, 21% of business owners today report low website traffic issues with their websites, making it increasingly difficult to maximize their profits and leave their most value. And my friend, Matthew Stafford, is here to help. Optimize your website and increase your online presence. Matt is the mad scientist behind the data and the development of the BGS optimization revenue system, as well as the BGS revenue optimization team, which is comprised of 40 full-time experts. He and his team help people's websites sell more based on the traffic they're already receiving. You won't catch Matt calling himself the Shopify expert when it comes to website optimization. In fact, he and his team are very selective of the people that they work with. And from a personal perspective, Stafford says that he gets the most satisfaction out of helping mom and pop shops succeed through website optimization in order for them to line their pockets with cash and their businesses with customers who routinely come through the door, thanks in large part to the content they see on their website. And Stafford joined me this week to tell me more. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Matthew, if you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program, my friend, and I'm super excited to talk to you about how you help people sell more through their websites. Great to see you this afternoon, and thank you so very much for being here, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Matthew, I know that your day job is all about helping people sell more through their websites and really taking advantage of the traffic that already exists on their website. And so tell me how you got to where you are today and what makes you so fabulous, my friend.
Well, I was really good actually at Facebook traffic, and I made a lot of sales that way. But what I realized was the average store that we were sending traffic to was only converting at about 3%, 4%. And so for every 100 people that came there, we only had 4 buyers. And so my thought process was, everybody else is trying to get another 100 people to come to their store. Why don't I just get 4 of the 96 people that left to buy, and I doubled my business?
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. And tell me, what do they think is the fundamental key to really optimizing your website traffic to make the maximum amount of revenue?
Well, there's actually it's an entire system. So each page basically has a particular function, and so like your homepage is designed to build trust and then give you easy navigation. Obviously, your collection page is basically a filter, which is going to increase the navigation to pinpoint what they're looking for. And then your checkout and cart, those are then obviously the ones where you transact the money.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Matthew, I know you described yourself as a mad scientist and you're all about data and the development of sort of your revenue optimization system, which you just briefly went over. So tell me why you consider yourself to be a mad scientist and what is the key to really optimization in your view to get the most out of it, my friend?
Yeah, I guess the reason being is I enjoyed going through the numbers to try to, what I looked at it as is a big problem that I had to solve. And I feel like if 2 people, 3 people out of 100 come to your site and those are the ones that buy and the overwhelming majority leave, that means that there's something wrong or something that can be improved. And so the way that you do that, or the way that we do it every single day, is we use data. So for sure, we have like best practices that always work. But essentially what we do is we tag everything on the site, and then we look at that data constantly to see what's working, what's not working, and then make some guesses as to what we could test that would help it convert better. And by doing that, we'll systematically continue to increase the conversions. And sometimes, obviously we run tests that don't win. And the data tells us that. And so all through those learnings, the point of it is so that we could obviously increase the number of conversions and the customer's satisfaction going through the site. So if they struggle to go through the site to make a sale, you might have got them as a customer, but they're going to remember that it was difficult. And so we're trying to make them shopping on the website as easy as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matthew, I know at heart you're an entrepreneur and you've run your own businesses as well. So I'm curious, what do you think makes a great manager as a leader, my friend, from a business perspective?
Well, one, I think that you have to be radically honest with yourself and with others. I think that there's a lot of unnecessary tension and difficulty with communication because people are afraid to speak the truth. And you definitely need to use tact to do that. But the other part is, I think that you need to care about the other person as well, and make sure that they actually enjoy what they're doing too. Because when people communicate well, you don't really. Here, let me think of a better way to phrase it would be, you don't normally have a business problem. You normally have a people problem. And so when you learn how to be honest and you learn how to communicate well, the people problems go away and the business does very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And As just one final follow-up on this point, my friend. So, Matthew, I'm going to share just a bit about myself. So, I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. Simply means that I don't have enough oxygen in my legs to walk normally, and I help organizations outside of hosting this podcast really build an inclusive culture. So when we talk about creating an inclusive culture in business, I'm curious to get your thoughts on how we can infuse more people with disabilities into the workforce and make it more inclusive overall. What are your thoughts there?
Well, how are we going to make it more inclusive? First off, I think that there has to be an awareness created. And yeah, it's a really good question. To be honest, I don't have a great answer. I would love for you to share with me maybe a resource that you have. What I would say is there's probably a lot of people that would be more inclusive if they understood what people could do and what they couldn't do in order to be useful.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. And I'll be happy to share some resources with you when I send you this episode for sure. But I know that you also work with some of the top companies on their website optimization. And I'm curious, from your perspective, Matthew, what have you learned about formulating relationships and how to meet people where they are? Because at the end of the day, business is all about relationships as well. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to ask you about what's the key to forming great relationships in business?
For me, it's always been to provide value first. A lot of people are very quick to be like, well, how much, how much, how much? And I've always found it works better for me if I play the long game, which means I'm happy to provide value for free. And hopefully it's enough that then you choose to work with us. And if not, what happens typically is even if those people don't use us or it's not a good fit, they refer people because we had a good relationship. We gave them value. It just might not be a good fit as far as like how much it costs to hire us. And so we get a lot of work, obviously from the people that say yes. And then we also get them as referrals from the others.
Yeah, you really have to know your audience and know your value proposition, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Absolutely. So, Matthew, in a general sense, I'm curious to ask you the key to really making your website more maximum optimal. What I mean by that is I'll give you an example. So, for instance, I have a website and I'm a motivational speaker outside of hosting this podcast. So, for someone like me looking to optimize the performance of my website or in general, what are the fundamental keys to making your website perform better?
Great question. I'm going to give you two answers. One, we always say clarity trumps persuasion. And a lot of times people work very hard to put off this persona of a certain aspect. And so what I would say is a lot of times that ends up making the message unclear or watered down. And so you don't get as good a response from it. We actually say, would Homer Simpson understand this, or would Homer Simpson be able to figure it out? In other words, just keep it very, very simple. The second answer to that question would be, I believe that you have to look at your website as your client, not as the owner of the website. because as the owner of the website, you look at it all the time and you understand what you mean and what you're trying to get across. But when you can flip the paradigm a little bit and come to your site with the question, how do I find the solution to this problem? Or how do I find what I'm looking for if I'm looking for this? And then go through the site and notice what works well, what you have to look for, things like that. And when you start visiting your site as a visitor with a problem rather than the owner trying to make a sale, the website will actually be much clearer and it will convert much higher.
Yeah, and Matthew, I know that some people have referred to you as the sort of the Shopify of optimization, and while you may not like that moniker in certain circumstances, I know that you're selective sometimes on the people you work with because not every person is right for every business relationship. So I'm curious about how you go about determining who you're going to work with and what sort of criteria you use, buddy.
Yeah, so we're in a pretty nice scenario where we get to choose who we work with, and we want to make sure that every day when we come to work that we enjoy it, it's fun, and so we want other people that are growth oriented, open minded, so that we can continue to try things, test things, and find those wins. For us, if it gets stagnant, we get frustrated as well because we really want to win too. And so that's what we're looking for. And so for us, we really want that positive experience when we choose someone to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matthew, I know that you're someone who loves solving customer impediments in their journey to what they're looking for from a marketing and sort of data perspective. So tell me about finding those diamonds in the rough and really helping people through their impediments when they're looking to optimize their website and their business. Why does that bring you the most passion, my friend?
Yeah, that's another good question. I just I enjoy and I get a lot of fulfillment out of helping people. And so typically the reason somebody's site isn't working well is they haven't figured out what the blockage is or what the problems that the customers are having with it. And so for me, going in and finding that it actually takes work and thinking and learning and growing. And so for me, I think that makes me feel useful. And also when I win, then I feel very fulfilled that I helped them make more sales. And typically, these websites are how people make their living. And so I also know that when I help your website sell more, you have the ability to go take care of, or live the dream that you expected when you started it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up an interesting point when you said that, people use their websites as their primary way of selling things. And I'm curious, coming out of COVID specifically and having everything transition to a digital age, Matthew, how important is it now more than ever to optimize the potential of your website?
Yeah. So before COVID, about 10% of people or about 10% of sales were made online. During COVID, that went up to about 33%. And now it's dropped back down to about 27%. So even though a lot of us use websites all the time, it's still not the majority of sales. And so there's a lot there. I feel like we're, in all reality, we're still early adopters. E-commerce has evolved so much just in the last 5 or 6 years. Who knows where it will be in the next 5 or 6? And so for us, our goal is, as long as we're providing information to people about how to help their websites sell more, that requires us to be on the front end, figuring things out and trying to help create that change.
Yeah, and from a digital perspective, Matthew, I'm curious to ask you about sort of the shift of everything going digital. You know, there's streaming services, there's less people buying cable packages because everything is going digital now. So tell me about the importance of creating a competitive advantage through your website and to really make yourself stand out. How important do you think that is?
I think it goes back to, people forget that their website is dealing with other people because it feels impersonal. But the truth of the matter is, your website is your conversation with your client or with your customer. And so if your website isn't a good communicator, they're gonna go find somebody's whose is. And it's the same as in our regular human interactions. Like, some people you're going to be able to communicate with well and clearly, and you're going to choose that over one that's difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Matthew, from a business perspective, I'm curious to ask you, what sort of mistakes do you think people make when they roll out business website business websites? So, what do you think are some of the most common mistakes that people make when they roll out a business website?
I would say that they include too much information. The truth of the matter is, 20% of the people that visit your site do 80% of the volume. And so if you get really, really crystal clear on which 20% is creating that volume, then you become a lot more specific in addressing them, and you'll watch your website grow. We've had lots of sites grow 2, 3x, 4x over a year. And so in that process, and when I say that we've had sites do that, I'm talking about sites already doing $1 million a month go to 5 million a month in 12 months. So it's an enormous amount of increase. And what that is it's just focusing on the right people, not trying to speak to everybody.
Yeah, and Matthew, I just want to quickly go back to the concept of value proposition and really solving a problem through your business. Is another way that I've seen that businesses really generate multiple levels of income. So, how important, I guess, do you think it is that business websites clearly communicate value propositions and how they service customers to make their lives easier? How important do you think that is?
It sounds self-serving, but it's human nature. We are all concerned about what we need. And so if the website isn't speaking to that person, they're basically going to tune it out. And like you said, where before, if you were lumped into a cable package, you kind of made your sales by default because you were lumped in with maybe a good provider and they gave these other channels. And so you get some money. Nowadays, with how fragmented everything is, if you don't do a great job connecting with your customer, they don't have to do business with you. They can just get that one thing from someone else who's doing it better.
Yeah, I'm also curious to ask you about influence in the e-commerce space because, there's so many sales courses or courses out there that have an offering, and that's the primary offering of a business or an e-commerce side. But you take sort of a no filter approach in terms of really narrowing down to the nitty gritty of what people need to know from an e-commerce standpoint. So, as an e-commerce educator, Matthew, I'm curious to get your thoughts on why your perspective or the way that you help educate people is superior over others. Because I know you like to keep it simple, right?
Yeah, I would. Hmm. I don't think that ours is the only way, but I certainly know that it works because the percentage of people that succeed that use our information is astronomically better than average. And I think the reason for that is what we teach is a lot based on human behavior. It's not like tips and tricks and hacks that are working right now that maybe will stop working in 3 or 4 months. So we do a lot of work on understanding how people browse websites, how people think, what they need to know in order to feel comfortable to make a decision, how we get their attention, all of that stuff. And it's not through tricking them or creating sales or whatever. It's really making sure that that customer journey is customer focused.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, just building on that, Matthew, I'm curious to get your thoughts on how how you're seeing out there. People are browsing websites, and what gives them the most attention span these days. So, what are you seeing from a trend perspective that you think all business owners need to know?
Hmm. So we don't run any media, but media companies are our best referral source because if we make the website convert better, they can drive more media. So I would say one of the things that we do to help support them is the ads that are driving people to the site. We make sure that the site is congruent or looks the same, feels the same as the ads that are working. And by doing that, I think that gets rid of some of the noise. It creates more trust. And, it used to be fine to just throw up a store, put a bunch of products on it and run ads to it. But over the last, 6 to 8 years, e-commerce has really evolved. And so now you need to take it serious. It's not a drop shipping business anymore. It is you create a brand over time by having a good website, good customer experience, great customer service, and then you can obviously then sell products to those people over and over.
Yeah, and to be more granular in that sense, Matthew, I know that build, grow, and scale are three words that you use primarily with your clients and the people you serve, my friend. So,
Yeah.
what does build, grow, and scale mean to you?
Yeah. So build is the phase where you're determining what you have that you want to sell or what idea you want to bring to the world. The grow is once it's built, obviously you got to optimize it and test it and know what works. And then the scaling part is you've kind of figured it out. You have a good product. There's an audience for it. Your site works okay. But now what it does is it really takes some experts in order to help it, go to that next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matthew, from a personal perspective, what brings you the most energy and juice or enthusiasm for the work that you do, my friend?
Hmm. I get excited about the websites making more sales and the amount of revenue that we generate. And so I legitimately get up excited, and I really enjoy what I do. So I don't really feel, even though I work a lot of hours, I don't feel like I work that hard.
Well, Matthew, I always say if you find something you're passionate about, you don't work a day in your life, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And, my friend, I'm fascinated because I know that you've worked with some high-profile clients. So tell me about some of your favorite clients and some of your favorite memories along the way as well.
Yeah, so that's true. We've been able to work with some really great clients. We worked for Mark Cuban companies. That was actually a good experience. We worked for Discovery Channel, Scientific America, Matthew Berry. So some really big national names, quite a few other ones. I would tell you, though, in all reality, I actually enjoy working with the mom and pop owned stores more and watching them win. It's very easy to get bogged down in the bureaucracy of those very large organizations and not really feel like you make a difference. And so I really honestly, like when I see a husband and wife, or a husband that's trying to get out of his corporate job and we help them succeed, those actually are a lot more fun to deal with and have fun working with.
Yeah, it's all about paying it forward, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And Matthew, from a personal perspective, how do you define prosperity in life? I'm fascinated to get your answer there.
yeah. I would say prosperity means that you're fill your own cup up, and so that way when you serve other people, you're serving them from a full cup. And if you can do that when you don't need anything from anyone else, you can go into your interactions and be able to serve at the highest level. And for me, I think that provides the most amount of satisfaction and prosperity.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Matthew, when you look at optimizing or scaling a website's performance, just talk for a moment about how that can make a business owner's life so much easier from a business operation standpoint, and how it increases their bank account as well, because it makes a difference if you can optimize a website, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. So one, you have higher customer satisfaction. So they come back and buy more often, which means you don't have to spend as much to acquire the customers to stay in business. You actually convert at a higher rate with your cold traffic. All of those things generate a lot more net profit. And so that gives you the choices to be able to fund the business properly rather than bootstrap it with very limited funds. And we've done both. And if we nail it and we get it right and we have really good conversions and repeat customer rate, that tends to make running the business a lot more fun and a lot easier.
Yeah, Matthew, I have two more questions for you. And the first is, I want to go back to that Homer Simpson analogy you used earlier. So, for someone that has that great business idea but doesn't really know how to optimize a website, what are 3 or 5 simple steps that even Homer Simpson could do to optimize a website more effectively?
Yeah, I think it was Henry Ford that said some of the hardest work that you'll ever do is thinking. And that's why so many people don't do it. And so I guess if you're going to Homer Simpson it, what that means to me is you have to do a lot of extra thinking in order to make it very, very simple And then that way your message is clear and not confusing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, imagine the final question for you is how I end all of my podcasts, my friend. And that's by asking you about your own personal and professional legacy and how you want that to be defined.
For me, I certainly have aspirations to create a legacy for children. I did not have a wonderful childhood, but it taught me to become who I am, and I'm very grateful for it. And through that, I would love to set up things that help children learn what I've learned much younger than I did.
Well, it's like riding a bike. The more you do it and the earlier you do it, the better you get at it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely, my friend. And tell me, finally, Matthew, if people want to get connected with the good work that you're doing, my friend, what's the best way they can do that?
They can go right to the website at buildgrowscale.com. And it's very easy to navigate, hopefully, since that's what we do. And or they could email me at matt@buildgrowscale.com.
Well, fabulous, Matt. I really enjoyed our conversation about website optimization and your time in business, my friend. I want to thank you for engaging in conversation with me and bringing your energy and enthusiasm. It's most appreciated.
Thank you. I enjoyed it as well.